On a chilly morning in March 1996, a call came through to New South Wales police from a quiet suburb, Albion Park Rail. It was the kind of place people raised their kids without concern, a place where the worst offense was a rowdy weekend barbecue. But that morning, police arrived to find an unimaginable horror. The officers reached Shearwater Boulevard just after dawn, greeted by a scene that seemed straight out of a nightmare. Neighbors gathered around a teenage boy sobbing on the lawn, held back by an elderly man, Steve Bailey. The boy, Matthew DeGrange, kept repeating, "What's happened? Who did this?" His face was ashen, his body rigid with shock, and he was so distraught that paramedics rushed him to the hospital before police could even ask questions. Inside the house, Detective Sergeant Daniel Sharp and his team encountered a chilling stillness. The first body, that of Jennifer DeGrange, lay sprawled across the bed in the master bedroom. Blood soaked the mattress and dripped onto the carpet, a gruesome cascade that spoke of raw, unrestrained violence. In her hand, a book titled Love Story had fallen, as if she'd been interrupted in her final moments of comfort. Moving through the hall, Sharp's team found another horrifying scene. In the next room, 13-year-old Sarah lay in her bed, head partially covered by a blood-soaked cushion, with a Walkman lying tangled by her bedside. The detectives theorized she hadn't even heard her mother's screams over the music, her own life cut short in eerie silence. She wore pajamas, one leg dangling over the side of the bed in an oddly innocent posture. Finally, the search led to the garage, where a third figure lay covered by a hastily thrown blanket. Pulling it back, the team uncovered the body of Adrian, just 15, with blood pooled beneath him. His injuries were catastrophic, teeth scattered across the concrete as if they had been violently struck from his mouth. There were streaks of blood splatter across the ceiling, indicating the sheer force of his attacker's rage. The brutality of the crime was staggering. Yet it was not merely the violence that disturbed Sharp, it was the sense of order beneath the chaos. He observed how drawers had been rifled through yet valuables remained untouched. And there was no sign of forced entry. Whoever committed this murder had entered deliberately and with chilling familiarity. Detective Sharp knew something was wrong. If this were a robbery gone wrong, it was one of the strangest he'd ever seen. Expensive items, a jewelry box, electronics, remained undisturbed. The killer had left through an unlocked back door, leaving the house in eerie silence. With each detail examined, it became harder to accept this as random. The investigation's scope narrowed to the family itself. Matthew DeGrange's whereabouts raised questions. He had been the one to discover the bodies but couldn't recall where he'd been the night of the murders. His statements changed over time, leaving gaps and contradictions that didn't add up. He claimed he'd left for his girlfriend's house early in the evening, staying until the morning. Yet phone records indicated he had placed a call from the family home around 8 p.m., a call Matthew later denied making. What's more, blood found on towels in the family's washing machine carried faint traces of cleaning attempts, diluted but detectable. And then there was the rug. A large square of carpet had been cut from Jennifer's room, leaving fibers suggesting it had been removed hastily. The missing section hinted that it held something critical, perhaps blood or evidence the killer couldn't allow to remain. The case broke wide open 2 weeks later, when a group of boys biking by the old Boral Brickworks dam stumbled upon a waterlogged bag. Inside, police found personal items that tied back to the DeGranges, including Jennifer's purse and a piece of carpet matching the missing patch. But it was the torn, handwritten note inside that threw Detective Sharp's theory into chilling focus. The note contained directions: open gate, throw things down wall, tracksuit pants, t-shirt, Sarah, Mom, Adrian. The mere mention of names chilled the investigators. The casual, dispassionate use of Mom suggested someone intimately familiar with the family. It was the most damning clue yet that this was no stranger's work. A handwriting analysis soon confirmed what Sharp feared: the writing matched samples from Matthew DeGrange. With evidence mounting, Detective Sharp brought Matthew in for a fourth round of questioning. He was joined by his father, Wayne, who refused to believe his son capable of such a crime. But Sharp pressed forward, presenting the blood traces on the carpet, the damning note, and the missing will brace, a tool found to match the injuries on each victim. When the detectives questioned him, Matthew stayed silent, eyes averted, hands gripping the edge of his seat, knuckles white. They noted his apparent coldness, a numbness that suggested either shock or indifference. But the forensic evidence was unforgiving. Blood samples taken from various rooms, including the ensuite bathroom and hallway, pointed to a struggle with his mother. His partial print was found on the jerry can of petrol discovered next to Adrian's body, leading police to suspect he'd poured the fuel intending to cover his tracks, only to abandon the plan at the last moment. Detective Sharp laid out the case, detail by excruciating detail. Matthew's silence held firm, but the evidence was deafening. A trial followed. During proceedings, Matthew's defense team attempted to paint him as a gentle, misunderstood boy, caught in a whirlwind of accusations. But testimony from friends, neighbors, and even Matthew's girlfriend painted a different story, one of a young man frequently at odds with his mother, often incensed by her refusal to let him borrow her car. The jury didn't take long. Matthew was found guilty of all 3 murders, sentenced to 28 years. For the DeGrange family and the community, the sentence marked a tragic end to a story of familial betrayal that would haunt their memories for years. Years later, parole officials would face decisions about Matthew's release. Public opinion was fierce. Many feared that a man capable of such violence could never be truly rehabilitated. His father, Wayne DeGrange, stood by him despite the conviction, maintaining that his son had been stitched up. Eventually, however, after meeting with Detective Sharp and seeing the mountain of evidence laid bare, Wayne quietly faded from public view, unable to continue defending the indefensible. Matthew DeGrange was released in 2019, his future clouded by suspicion and the scars of his crimes. For the people of Albion Park Rail, the DeGrange family murders remain a harrowing reminder that some of the most terrifying evils can lurk within our own homes, hiding behind familiar faces, waiting for the chance to strike. In light of recent tragic events and the complexities that such cases often involve, the government urges citizens to prioritize mental health, family support, and community vigilance. Families are encouraged to stay connected, actively communicate, and seek help when facing internal conflicts or struggles. Often, resources like family counseling or mediation services can provide meaningful support in times of difficulty. Recognizing signs of distress in oneself or loved ones, and taking proactive steps to address them, can make a significant difference in preventing crisis situations. Additionally, community members should look out for each other, especially those who may be vulnerable or isolated. Trusting one's instincts and respectfully checking in with neighbors or friends can strengthen community bonds and create a safer environment for everyone. For anyone needing assistance, local crisis centers, mental health hotlines, and family support organizations are available 24/7. Support is just a call away, with trained professionals ready to listen, guide, and provide help for those in challenging circumstances. No one should feel alone or helpless. By reaching out, we can cultivate communities that uphold safety, well-being, and resilience for all.